I just want to contextualize everything that we're going to discuss today because we have an inevitable challenge before us, and this is driving all of our strategy and how we are positioning and building different capabilities to address this inevitability that we're facing. Um, and when we kind of take a few steps back and look at, what's going on in the industry, in the world in general, right? Obviously, AI is the topic, but I want to zero in here on the consequences of all that talk around AI. Um, what we're seeing and hearing from you guys is that there is a lot of work on the development side, on the applications development side, where the engineers are heavily leaning on AI coding assistants to help them write more code and write faster. And that is awesome from a business perspective, but also it means that there's a lot more things to be tested. The quality of the things that we will test is not at the level of quality that everybody wanted. So there's going to be more bugs. There's going to be more testing work that needs to be performed, and obviously this is what the speed of development increasing is what everybody wanted. But also we need to think about, okay, am I ready to accommodate that speed in my current testing process, in my current testing life cycle? And you may think, I mean, when we first start hearing these things, right, you may think, well, but this is really, we're talking about like the FANG companies, right? The Facebooks, the Amazons, the Googles, right? Um, those are the ones that are really heavily investing on AI-driven development. But that's not the case. I was really impressed over the last, couple of months in hearing from many of you guys here on the call that you are in a more traditional industry. You are in a more considered a more of a laggard type of industry that kind of waits and sees and tries to see if things work for the others, and then you'll jump in. I was really surprised in hearing and learning that you guys are also, seeing your development counterparts heavily investing in AI, and that is obviously causing some concerns on the testing side that need to be addressed. So, some people might think that this is just like a tech industry type of development, but no, like banking, financial services, healthcare, insurance. I mean, it's all over. So with this context, I want to talk a little bit about what we're hearing from you, the specific challenges we're hearing from you, and then I'm going to flip into, okay, here's what we already have available in terms of capabilities and features across our products, and also what's coming. So let's go there. So obviously, as we think about that AI-driven development, there's a ton of acceleration in AI on both development and also in production. Production monitoring, real user monitoring, all that, those different capabilities. In the observability space, there's a ton of AI being employed already in those two sides of the life cycle, if you will. But when we look at testing, we have to do a lot of work. We have to analyze requirements so that we can understand what needs to be tested, how thorough we need to test them, and determine if the requirements are even testable, they are unambiguous, they're clear, right? So that we can start test planning. And then when we start test planning, we have it. There's a lot of variables to consider, and with the accelerated development rate, I mean, it's just making things harder and harder. And then we finally, start designing and creating tests. Eventually, we'll automate those tests. And then we have to set up some type of environment to run those tests against, as well as to test data, obviously. And then we finally get to execute those tests both manually and from an automated perspective. And then we start now reporting. Okay, here's the current state of the application from a quality standpoint. And you report that at all kinds of levels, right? For the more technical, test case pass fail type of report, to the more executive level, so that decision makers can start making their decisions. The point here is that what we're learning and hearing from you guys is that the way these activities have been happening is not fast enough when you are up against AI powered development. And the way we look at how to address this is obviously we have to combat AI with AI, right? We have to find ways to inject AI into each of those testing activities in the testing lifecycle. And that's the only way really to have testing not keep being that bottleneck that we're seeing that right now, and in finally enabling our testing teams to move faster, and be more productive, and in order to not only keep up with development but really hopefully get ahead of it. So if we look at those kinds of capabilities here in this diagram, on the left hand side we have the product intent that is translated into requirements. But now, if you're going to do, your test planning from requirements that are not complete, that are not testable, that are ambiguous, then your test planning is not going to be great. And then if that's not great, your test design is not going to be great either, right? So it's kind of a cascading effect. So what we're doing here is we're introducing capabilities that are powered by AI to really analyze those requirements on your behalf. So think of it as, AI agents to analyze requirements that will basically tell you, hey, these are the problems with the requirement. Like this is not testable. The acceptance criteria is not something that we can actually evaluate. This statement is ambiguous, and so on and so forth. And then it basically tells you, hey, these are the clarifications that we need to seek from the product owner or the business analyst. Do you want me to send that to them, right? As a form of clarification request. When that comes back, then yeah, okay, now you fully understand the AI can help you now do proper test planning. And then same thing, test planning and then test design and so on. So we have injected in all of these different activities in the testing lifecycle AI or AI agents to help you do those activities while you are driving those agents to do those activities for you. So it's not something that you are not in control, something that just happens behind the scene. No, you're the active driver of those capabilities, and the ultimate goal is help you do those activities more thoroughly and faster than ever before. So that's the kind of left to right side of the testing life cycle. But one of the things that you might have read or you might be reading in the industry as well is as you start adding AI powered capabilities in your applications themselves, right? So your applications now start being not non-deterministic. So if you think about it from that context, then when you release the application to production, you cannot stop evaluating quality. You cannot stop evaluating how those responses, those non-deterministic responses, are actually being given to users or to your end users. Because as we know, the generative AI. One of the things about generative AI is that the non-determinism is something that is, I mean, amazingly, it's great from a creativity perspective, but when you're thinking about, testing, it does present a problem. So you really should continue, and this is not me saying, this is you guys telling me, how can we continue monitoring the quality as the users actually interact with the features that are, AI powered features that your teams are delivering to your end users. And that's where we added the capability to monitor that user experience, to understand what are the user journeys that in production your end users are actually going through, and what kind of responses are they getting as they go through those journeys. And then based on that information, not only feeding that back to the product owner or the business analyst, so they can say, hey, here's how we intended that specific feature to be built and delivered, but here's how and used. But here's how users are actually interacting with that capability, and is there any gap there, so that the POs and the BAs can go and update the requirements if they choose to do that. And then from a testing perspective, it enables your testing teams to essentially make sure you have the tests that reflect those same user journeys in production. And why is that important? because if those user journeys are working, which if they're in production, they are, and users are going through those, then you want to make sure that those experiences, those journeys do not break as part of your next release cycle. So and for that to happen, you need to test them, to test those journeys the same way as your users test those journeys, right? So that's something that it basically helps you strengthen your test strategy to bring coverage both from a requirements perspective, which is the standard from a testing point of view, but also bring the coverage from a user-based perspective, which when you have applications that are providing non-deterministic responses to your end users, that's vital to your business. So in other words, what this does is, it helps you shift left, it helps you shift right, and have that holistic 360-degree view of coverage across your entire life cycle. So those are the obviously high-level capabilities that I'm gonna go through with you guys today, and then we're gonna dive deeper on a couple here based on the polls as well. Oh, speaking
Yeah.
of polls.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. I think that picture was really important because even as I talk to our customers, you know, there is a company mandate here, right? That, our company wants us to shift left, do more in sprint testing, or, we really need to understand now with AI what a user journey mapping looks like. So I'm going to launch this poll here. You guys should all see coming this on your screen right there. So please answer what your organization's top testing priorities are. You can choose multiple, and we would love to understand from the audience, what is right now topping the charts here.
Yeah, and guys, these choices on the poll are basically the top things we've been hearing from you guys over the last year, right? So we want to gauge here in the in the audience that is watching this live, what is the mix up, right? For these capabilities, like what are the priorities for you guys, and then I can tailor the next the dive into the capabilities. I can tailor that to what's more priority for you guys.
Yeah, so far, accelerated test automation coverage leading at 84%. And, our bread and butter manual to regression test at 63%. All right, things are still sort of changing live, but shift left is almost 50%. All right. Okay, so I guess let me end the poll. We have 71% of participants participated already. I'll share the results here on the screen. Okay, so actually the top two are definitely, we're at Catalan, definitely our bread and butter where we started. Shift left is, obviously we're seeing more and more customers ask us this. I think that would be Alex, definitely we know that's the focus also in our next few slides. But yeah, user-based testing at 27. Oh, actually missed me at 52% here on manual, automated, and AI generated. So AI is definitely up there.
Yeah, that's very good. Okay, thank you guys. Yeah, so automation coverage, the backlog of regression tests, and the managing the manual, automated, and AI generated tests. Also shift left with in-sprint testing. Okay, perfect. Yeah, this is great. So thank you guys. We have a lot to talk about around those capabilities. So let me move on here to the next one. Okay. One of the things that I like to always share with the audience is, and Disha kind of started talking about it, is we we are we have defined our vision and strategy based on how on our read on our customer base, on you guys, on the market, and in our own experience, right, in the field. But nothing beats what we hear directly and on a daily basis from you guys. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to answer the poll, and and just know that you guys are being heard every single day. I mean, I think that's something we don't say enough, but we see you guys as real partners that guide every day, guide us on making adjustments to the roadmap of our products, and validating some of the hypotheses we're putting out there as we're experimenting with new things. So with that, I want to share here a little bit something that you probably never really saw it, and is it's really about how our product strategy is built out. We start with our vision, which is to be the agentic testing company for you guys. Um, and the way we are going to accomplish that is by helping organizations test at the speed of AI. That's our strategy to fulfill that vision. And that that strategy is underpinned by three pillars. First one is pioneering AI-driven innovations. So essentially taking all of those different elements that I mentioned in the beginning around what's going on in the market with your own companies and so on, and determining how AI can help us address those challenges that are basically impeding you guys from moving faster with more quality, and so on. Um, our approach to doing that is really having, as people say, the human in the loop. But we like to say that is really having you guys driving the AI, because at the end of the day, your SME knowledge is really the unique differentiator across the entire SDLC. Really, the amount of business knowledge, company knowledge, institutional knowledge, and testing knowledge is really core. And if you put an AI agent on your hands, then the possibilities are endless. The second pillar is really strengthening the core capabilities that you already love and use in our products. And the third one is continue evolving our Catalan platform to address more and more complex needs. As I mentioned earlier, we're hearing from all kinds of companies in our customer base. The more, the ones that work more in the tech space, they're super like pushing the envelope on everything, but also on we've been working with many companies that are more traditional, and those two extremes and everything in the middle have very specific needs in the age of AI, and we want to continue evolving our Catalan platform to address those needs across the board. Um, and the way we're doing that is by building out this agentic testing vision in the platform that starts, with the products here at the bottom, which you're familiar with. So TestOps, TrueTest, Studio Enterprise, the Runtime Engine, and Test Cloud. So these products, these tools that you guys already have, maybe not, you don't have all of them, but that at least you've heard of them. These tools, they have been extremely successful. I mean, that's why we're here, and in helping you guys overcome lots of challenges. And they continue to evolve. But what we're doing differently now is to really build this agentic layer, as we call it, where we'll have different agents, AI agents that are interacting directly with those tools that you already know and love, at the bottom, as you see. And they're also interacting with you. So you have the option in the Catalan platform, you have the option to continue doing the work the way you've been doing. So, interacting directly with Studio, interacting directly with TestOps, and so on. Or you'll be able to interact with the AI agent, and ask the AI agent, for example, hey, for this new release or this new sprint that's starting, is there any user story assigned to me, right? And then our AI agent will go to Jira, because at the bottom here you see the integrations. The AI agent will go to Jira, pull the last or the list of user stories from this particular sprint, we'll see if there's anything assigned to you. If not, it'll say, well, it's not assigned, but there's these 5 or 6 or 10 user stories. And by the way, I can see that user story number 1 is very ambiguous. We need to see clarification. Would you like me to do that? Right. So it's not only doing what you tell it to do, but it's being proactive to really bringing you information that you can make decisions on. And obviously, as part of this this agentic layer, you're going to have the ability to interact with the agent just like in natural language, as you normally do with ChatGPT and so on. But also, that agent will have full access to our tools, to TestOps, TrueTask Studio, etc., in order to get those tools to do things, just as if you were interacting with those tools directly. And what's enabling all this behind the scenes is MCP, right? So the Model Context Protocol that enables different LLMs and different AI agents to communicate across the entire ecosystem. So those agents that you see here at the top, not only they'll be able to talk to our own tools, but they'll be able to talk to, like I was saying earlier in the example, Jira, ADO, right? Any other tool that also is MCP enabled. So this opens up the possibilities tremendously. And this is all being done based on the feedback and requests that you guys have shared with us or have been sharing with us along the way. So a lot.
Maybe this is a perfect time to take this question because I think it's related that we have. How can AI interact with customer data and where it is stored?
Oh, yeah. So it's how AI interacts with customer data and where it's stored. So the AI agent, so imagine you're using, let's say, TestOps, right? And you are in TestOps. So TestOps is in the cloud. We do have some on-prem deployments as well, but let's assume it's in the cloud. Then everything is accessed through MCP. And then if your data, your customer data, where did the question go? I see. You marked this answer.
Yeah.
If the customer data is inside your premise, then you have to enable access to that data, right? If the data is already in TestOps or it's in let's say in your Jira cloud instance, then we'll access that data in wherever it is. We're not going to bring that data into and store it into our own tools unless you allow it to do that, right? So we have a whole what's the word, Disha? If you remember the name of the security center that we have with all the definitions of how we treat customer data and protect it. There's a name like the customer security center, something like that.
Center?
The what?
Trust Center.
Trust Center. Yes, thank you. That clearly calls that out. But if you have, obviously, it's not the topic today, but if you have more questions on how, on specific scenarios of how that works, we're happy to jump in and kind of discuss that at length. But from that perspective, obviously, everything is enabled through MCP. And then as you interact with the agents, it will go to wherever you allow it to go, right? And that's all configurable, of course. But this is the vision. This is what we have been building. And now I want to shift here to show you what's already available, and what's coming eventually.